Hi, everybody. So my name is Alexandra with Heart Essence. I'm here with Heart Essence, and I'm an intuitive healer and Lightweavers channel energy reader. I'm here today with Christine from the Lightweavers Project, and
Hi.
we came. Yeah, hi. We came together to discuss the concept of the gentle mind and to offer you some light language transmissions on that.
Yeah.
Nice to have you here.
Thanks, Alexandra. Yeah, hi. I'm so glad that you're with us. And we're just wanting to create something to share some codes for what the gentle mind feels like, right? So rather than working through all this big process and like looking at the pain and the darkness, um, we're going to share with you some of the energies that we've cultivated in ourselves through our own work over the years. So the intention is just that we're transmitting what it's like to work and live and experience inside this sacred bubble of a gentle mind space. And hopefully your heart can resonate and just feel that as well, and sort of say yes to that if that feels like something you want to amplify in your own life. Yeah.
Great. Do you maybe want to share a bit about your work or like your background, just so um,
Oh,
in
yeah.
case that people haven't, seen you before?
Sure. So based in Australia, and I offer online light weaving practice circles for people to explore their light bodies and the art of light weaving with the supportive networks that we have on our planet of nature, the elementals, those deep earth guides that help us to become more in harmony with the flows of life, as well as our galactic aspects. So the more that we have those different flows coming in, weaving and supporting us on different levels, the more balanced and beautiful I think life is. So that's like my main focus on my spiritual path. Yeah, at this time is practice really with other people, and that's a big part of what I'm doing today here with Alexandra. Yeah.
That's great. It sounds lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, well, is there anything else we want to get into about the gentle mind, or should we start, with the codes themselves?
Well, let's just start testing the space. Like as we've brought up this concept and this idea, like we can just start to sense into the space here, this collective space, and enjoy, like, and invite whoever's watching to then also start sensing their own space right here in this moment. So perhaps let's all draw in the breath, come back into the seat of the body, and feeling the barrel of the chest. So we've got space internally here, like where the breath moves through and interplays here with our physical vessel coming in and coming out. So there's a lot of space here, and this is also the space that we touch with our hands when we're channeling and doing light weaving, right? So it's that is a porous space between the heart, the hands, and this magnetic field around us. And then this is also where the mind becomes merged with energy, is where that heart coherency is. So I love Alexandra's work. She works with the heart so much as well. And so that's the space that we're coming with here, to be empowered to create, and to also work with what's here in a really realistic way as well. Yeah.
That's
So
great.
let's take a few more little breaths and we'll get started.
So nice to connect to that stillness within, right?
Yeah. So I invite you, if you're watching this video, to also explore your own personal space. So even though we might connect with a lot of big feelings and emotions as we're processing this and weaving in the gentle mind, also keep that really close, sensitive, personal space as well. Yeah.
So should we start? Would you like to start
Yeah.
with your codes first, or?
Yeah, I can just open up some energies for us, and then we can just start exploring. Hakunes orienteren I en urs ish kurs niatakunini oi nya no oshunia tekina hin nia na o ut isya takutim.
So nice. I could really immediately feel an expansion, like a mind expansion, right? An expansion in the third eye. And like a settling down between heart and mind, in a sense.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So I just feel called to kind of add a little bit to what you did, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Kind of really, I'm seeing it like an inner tunnel, in a sense, or kind of vertical, light stream, which unites the mind and the heart, right? So kind of what I'm feeling called to share now, through the codes that I'm sensing, is really kind of opening up that pathway, because I do believe that the heart is the one that brings in that aspect of gentleness, right? Whereas oftentimes, at least the rational part of our psyche can be, very kind of, very focused, almost laser-like, and the heart is the expansive space, right? So I kind of feel to share some codes that will allow these to come into a more harmonious field. and also just allowing the deeper layers of the mind to open up in a gentle way, so we can kind of work on both those hemispheres that kind of dance together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nirine shu turie kara irena aketuro tere I shona tara. Riri ere nana kuti tere shushu oye kuyana na tora ta otenene hie ko ia tushuru. Hina nana o oshere turie na kaye totoro ani shekere enia toho oye e uye torasha. Nuni e tora kire ayena ta ako ote isha aye. Uri atote ekuna tohoro. Yeye u toshona nato okiko o haye shira tere e.
Ya ona sukane tichiaro ku oi ene asur en netietuku oi ha muai ashen ene etuku hanosh atiku ai alea o su ititi a nitak unesho o muonet si ne ihika a shuo tis a dikchutuma anik shai ne ukur uusiti vir ash enet horat ankush di I feel like an anchoring into earth with what we're doing now as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have one more bit I feel like sharing, which is a little bit also connected to the conversation we had before we started, which is how the physical vessel plays into the mental landscape, or, you know, when we have tired eyes, or maybe if we have issues with our eyes, right, the little nerves behind the eye, you know, kind of also connect to the brain, right, and the nervous system and the little nerves in the face. So I think there's a big parallel between, you know, really how tense and tight we are, you know, in this area, and the mental tightness, and the other way around. So maybe kind of allowing, you know, our senses, right, the eyes and, you know, all the senses to kind of move into that gentle space that allows the mind also to perhaps feel safe enough to open up as well. Niere tu shora kenena heye u otere etini hana aye koyo ote share enanaye u tiritara hanohore iye shoa tere karete. Shinara haye o tiritetere anuna koro oye hishere enire ununukate etiri kayere eya unwa to shoote inara. Ye utro shere na ayeko kuti itere anihere uri shuna ke ahatore tire araha. Tishenehana kie o turu o tere hashaye anana o ie tu tere. Shirere auri tuga ayeno toko o ie. Unanasha atere e kiero. Shiririere tunanuko o taretu.
Mhm.
So it feels like the nervous system is also more here now, you know, it's more kind of integrated into the, at least
Yeah.
that's what I'm perceiving now.
Mhm. Yeah, I feel a space, like a shared space of the heart, available for all of us here, and also like the tongue and the roof of the mouth, like the back of where the breath comes into the nose, like that the palate of the top of the mouth is because that's where our voice vibrates. Like it vibrates all through the chest and everywhere, but there's a very fine vibration that happens here, like where the breath comes in and moves in through the mouth to reach, you know, where the vocal cords are, where we're creating our sound. And then that directly influences like what our minds are able to perceive, like because of the vibration that we're holding here in our throat chakras is tuning our mental space like constantly, and like and refining it as we like choose like how we want to feel in that vibrational field. So when we're working with this concept of the gentle mind, that really strong empowerment of creative presence is coming through here, like through the throat chakra, through the breath, like through the base of the nasal passages and the sinus and all around here. And it's an organic process. It happens through the flesh and the blood and the air, you know, and all of just those beautiful, like the bones, like how delicate they are. And so that kind of like we're holding space for ourselves, like in this core center of like, because the brain is such a core part of the nervous system, like it's the central you know, receiving a lot of information and then understanding, making sense of what we're experiencing. So when we work with the physiological support network of the mind, which Alexandra was talking about her yoga practice, and how she spent a long time building on that base level so that her awareness of the body is supporting all of these other things that she's now doing, right? And breathing into the different parts of the body, I find is really helpful for exploring the mind. So we were talking about how the mind can have all these hidden spaces and places that we sort of see ourselves, we don't even recognize as that's a part of us, because we can't quite integrate it, or we can't quite access like a truth in that space. And so there's like hidden parts of inside our own psyche that can be explored through practice like this, through light language and through light weaving and breath practices, because that's when these things come to light, but in a really quick manner. Like we can really see things like and move things on a pace, like at a speed that nourishes us. Like it's not heavy and it's not like dragging and like depressing and like you know, like making us feel like everything is like a story loop, and then our minds turn against us, right? And become unhappy, like we become unhappy with what our minds are experiencing because it's heavy and weak. But with the throat chakra here activated, and you know, using your expressive nature, then the mind is just instantly delighted by that, you know, because it's being able to process at a speed which it is natural to, like, because we're organic beings, we have to be processing the mind in a way that's natural for the body as well.
Yeah, and I think there's a very direct correlation between, you know, how fluid we are in our minds, but how fluid we are in our bodies. So for example, when I did start my yoga teacher's training and started incorporating that practice into my day-to-day life, I noticed how I would automatically choose, you know, balancing poses on days when I would feel mentally, you know, unbalanced, let's say, or I would have a sense that something is throwing me off center. You know, so I think there's a big correlation between also oftentimes how we feel like moving. You know, if we just allow our body to kind of move the way it wants to, there's always, which, you know, I didn't do for a long time, but then I understood the benefits of just, you know, I'm just going to stand here for 10 minutes and see what my body wants to do. I don't think many of us actually do that, but I think there's a big correlation between what our body feels like doing, you know, to integrate what's going on the mental level, or the other way around, the body being able to integrate, you know, the mind being able to integrate what the body is working through.
Yeah. And how do you feel it works with your light language practice as well, like in terms of the body and the movement?
Well, you know, when I started doing it with my voice, it was a step-by-step process at first until I got there, because I first started with, you know, drawings or artwork, and then doing it to the hands, and then I felt secure enough to start with the voice. But I notice when I do it for myself, you know, I usually sit in a, like, not on a chair like this, you know, like when I'm doing the videos or webinars or whatever, usually sit in a more comfortable way, which allows me to actually really allow my body also to move with the transmission, not just my hands. And there's a more organic energy to it. And it's actually it feels more wholesome to just, kind of understand that the body is also part of that channel that receives the codes and gives them further, not only just the hands. And thinking back, I think I was kind of already channeling, I think we are all channeling our own codes, but I was already kind of opening up to light language, but just solely through body movements for a while before I even kind of became aware of what was going on or what I was doing.
Yeah. I like to practice my light language in nature, like say if I go on a forest walk or something. So for me, like my heart space can then expand to like 50 meters or more, like around me, and for me that's just bliss, because like I have a strong like whale medicine like as part of my energy, and so for me, like big spaces, like being in water, that, you know, like huge like expanses of water, and being able to resonate through like the whale song, like through very big spaces of water, is like very natural to me. So yeah, like as a human, I like to go to the forest because I feel held, like even though I can expand and like let myself expand as much as I want, then the trees and like the rocks, like they give a resonance back, and I feel like, oh, there's other beings here, like I can just subtly receive from them through that presence. And like that's a beautiful part of cultivating the gentle mind space, is that like we receive so much in that gentle space, because we're not only open to ourselves and receptive to our own experience, but then we start to be accepting of support, or just the awareness of other beings in their natural state, whether that's another person, whether that's our puppy, or whether that's like, an ancient tree that we meet and when we're out on our adventures. And it is like, it's more than just a heart awareness. It's also, I feel like it comes into the mind as well, because like where we choose to focus and like what we're giving our energy to, like with our mind, is subtly like weaving into the world and saying to the world, like, what is important, what do we value, like what do we want to see more of, what do we want to manifest. And so if our mind can actually focus on that beauty, then we have a chance of being able to generate and manifest more of that, more and more beauty over time. So that's like, yeah, there's some little pieces what I feel on that.
It's interesting that you bring up beauty, because somehow that's energy that has always been very important to me, like beauty and aesthetics and harmony, both on a visual level as well as like auditory level, and of course even the felt sensation right to the body. And I feel exactly the same, like for my mental state, for me to be able to be in the gentle mind, it's actually very important for me. Like this, right now I am in my work room. It's kind of my room where I mainly work, but I also just do my practices, or kind of just have that space, the container for myself, where my family is doing their own thing and I'm in my own bubble. And I noticed that it's very important for my mental state and for me to be able to be in that presence that allows the mind to open up, unfold, and receive, or maybe let go of as well. It's really having this visual harmony or auditory harmony also, around me in my space, or even being aware of, if I'm listening, for example, to a podcast or something, being aware of the volume. I really began noticing recently how important it is for me to really turn it down to a level that doesn't feel like scratchy on my mental plane, And I think sometimes we don't even think about these small things, but they can really create like this weird electric tension in the mind, even those small little things. So there's a big, as you said, that there's a big resonance between the content within our own mental, but also our environment, right? That dance.
Yeah. So Alexandra and I talked about creating a sacred sense of self on the mental sphere, on the mental plane. So like maybe our ideas of the sacred are more like in the in that feeling sense, the emotions, or like the crown, like that ecstatic spiritual sense of sacred. But the mind itself can also experience that beautiful wholeness, like contained, sacred, secure, and nourished, and just valued experience of itself. So that is like, those are some really great intentions to seed into your own field, into your personal quantum field, as you like might want to work with this concept of the gentle mind. So some of those qualities, like weaving those in, and feeling like where you can draw that a bit closer to support yourself is, yeah, might be helpful. I feel like we could maybe share a little bit more like of our light language. Do you feel any more?
Yeah,
of
we
that?
can. Yeah, for sure.
Let's check in. Like, let's check in now, like after we've talked a little bit, and feel like what might be another transmission. Yeah. Kyo hi sote hor ni ki er hi ya aoi di lai a hit hid di a os di a o hak ona os si ash u e arn a os en tiknik. I'm feeling a sense of memory. So working with memory in a positive way, to hold space internally. We can, I saw like a purple tulip with internally that can like sort of hold and protect, but in a very gentle way. Just hold that space. In la conoscenti neo hau indasile retu hui nect hac olena asha is sitieto kumana ha in ke uno o he hine he aku o e niete is hui sidak e hat no ai is shente kinehu os Isak Loy, and some support from the weavers of the higher realms for those who wish to be supported and have strength from those who know what it means to be whole. Yanet kor and es hilaleo toko ma'ar in se shinet haku e la ninamio yo o shai in shaina a.
So I feel called to maybe offer some, like a transmission on some of the pointers that we discussed about initially, the ones that came through for me before kind of connecting today. So of course, this idea of the gentle mind being the observer, right? Who just allows whatever needs to come on the mind screen to come and go as it needs to, and you know, being in that, you know, open state or non-attached state where we don't need to interfere with or block or cut off certain thought streams, you know, out of fear or because it's hard for us to own them, or to even look at them, you know, depending, right, how dense they are. And really this compassionate understanding and acceptance and integration of this perception that these are all, you know, karmic energy streams, right? That we came in with, or perhaps other people's stuff, but where we can be that open, loving space, the gentle space that holds it all, you know, without being bogged down by it or burdened by it. Yeah, and also for you know, this understanding that the more we allow ourselves to observe, you know, our own mental space in a non-judgmental, loving way, the more our own mind kind of becomes one with the one mind, right? The divine mind, let's say, or the, you know, divine intelligence behind everything, right? And that's then where all of those, you know, maybe higher perceptions or higher downloads or higher seeds of wisdom can get integrated and seeded into our own personal mind, in a sense. Niere ushua totoruna na hane ke e hieroye. Ushutere na haaye o una. Otoro oyere anishine kara utire tete anisho. Uririera ayeke etiero ona. Ono otere kiero oshiera ana. Irike turoye a. Shuru ona naka atere e hiero o tere enia. Urenene eni ketie. Ua asha otorene hare ie kotorona aurete. Inara turo oye kasha atara anehenie e kiero oya. Ushere etagia anana ho otuo shie to tekere i. And what I'm getting right now is that we have come, like as a human collective, we've come, you know, not very far, but we've come quite, you know, a big way in terms of understanding our emotional landscape. And of course, you know, understanding psychology better and creating different ways of exploring our internal landscape, you know, through various tools. But I think a lot of that has been very much based on the emotions, right? Where we perhaps began this exploration and began this, you know, this path out of a need to kind of control them, right? Yeah, the kind of, okay, my emotions are getting in the way of me doing this or doing that, you know? And I think a lot of what we're understanding now is, you know, being down this path along with this perspective for a long time is, okay, we do have our emotional baggage, but, you know, emotions are fluid. And so I think where we're at now, especially with what's going on in the world, this is like another level, a higher initiatory step where we start to understand that thoughts are actually also fluid and the mind is also fluid. And so allowing this space of acceptance that we kind of started integrating towards our own emotions as a collective to expand out into the mental space where we not only, you know, do our best or intend to share our emotions and be in a vulnerable state around that, right? And maybe cry in front of someone or so on, which for a few generations ago, people wouldn't even do that, right? Because it would be like too personal. Well, now I think we're moving to a space where we both have the openness, but also the courage to be vulnerable about, you know, the contents of the mind as well, no matter how irrational or strange it might seem, right? Because we understand that the mind is just as fluid as emotions and just as kind of, you know, doing its dance, right? Just as much.
Yeah, I love that vision. I think that I can see people ready for that step as well. Yeah.
So I'm just gonna share some quotes of that.
Yeah.
Ere u shore etana haneke e yatiro o yekina. O shora na ha o yeku o tiete eni haye. Uniki eturu o shiere aye naka atutara anashu o te ikie. Ture eneni henia ao oye tu shara ana. Shitere kia u to shana are eya u kia to otasha anuye naraye I shu tere kare e. Tirike enu tia na aye oko oshieho uri eya anika ohoye e. Turi ta tere eya shoroto.
I feel like a temple of the mind, like where like there's a safe weaving upon which like all of our minds can have the freedom to be like gently interplaying with each other and learning and having that aspect of exploration and sharing. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have anything else you wanted to keep going with?
Yeah, I'm just trying to just feeling into it and seeing. I think, yeah, another energy to kind of maybe share. What I was seeing was, again, kind of these two energies, right? So the part of our mind, which is actually content that we are picking up on, right? From other people, the collective and so on. And then of course our own. And I was seeing somebody kind of, dancing with one foot here and then putting the foot there, kind of like that, right?
Love it.
Yeah, it's really funny, kind of funny visual. And I think, yeah, kind of really stepping in the middle and kind of like what I feel called to do is kind of step right in the middle and perhaps offer some codes which allow for the listeners and obviously ourselves also to kind of be more aware of when we have our foot here and when we have our foot there, right? Because I think the more open we are intuitively and so on, we can, the people I've been having sessions with in the last 2 weeks, the first thing everybody said was, oh my God, my mind is like, I'm just so exhausted. There's so much going on in the world right now, right? So, and that can, this part, right, where there's the collective mental space can really, maybe create some rigidity in the fluidity of our own mental space sometimes, and being aware of, okay, hey, is whatever is flowing through my body now or my mind now, is it really me or not me? Like just having that awareness is so important. And I've realized that even, along the years of me kind of working on my stuff in a more energetic way, I've realized that a lot of the stuff that was there with me was just absorbed and was actually not something I really need to work on. It was just something I had to gently let go of because it wasn't mine.
Yeah, that's so powerful. Yeah.
So just do that. Iro o tare e nā shana aie u tuturu o te eni oyere e share anana oto ote ika uri e shiro. Nere e uri ata atere e nikayene ie. Ushi tohora nuni e teye e shahare oro. Ninia aya o shieto o tere enika aya ona a uro ohoye ki tore enana kuye e shuyi. Nia hu iu chi nanana hotere ti e sura a. Riera ashiro nono o tere ke ie toro ana. Uye oye turi shushua nakare nie o haru o dara.
Mhm. Mhm. It felt loving, but also firm, you know, like a strong command, like how a mother is nurturing, and sometimes she has to be disciplined as well. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and towards the end, I was still having that image, right, of the two sides and the person jumping, but the part which was connected very much to, you know, what isn't ours, it was still there, but it was like the way I could see it was a bit more like more in pastel colors instead of, you know, so it was still there, but just gently there instead of, you know, in our faces kind of.
Yeah, yeah, like a howling storm. No, no,
Yeah.
no.
Like
Right.
you're there, but you stay there, you know.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Mm.
Do you have, you know, anything else?
I've just really enjoyed this conversation and our sharing. So thank you. And I've been sitting with this piece of greenstone, so this New Zealand greenstone.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that it feels very strongly for the heart resonance there. So that's been helping to guide and just keep the energy light and lovely. Yeah, so the gentle mind, I feel that it's a practice, and it's the practice of self-love, like any other journey usually that we're on as humans. We seem to be always needing to come back to that and like learn to love the self and learning to love the mind. Like the mind can still be dynamic and creative and powerful and gentle at the same time. So there's like an undercurrent of gentleness that puts our nervous system and our physical body, like our human body, at ease. And so we can still come through powerfully and have amazing insights and, you know, explore the mind in those ways. But by having that undercurrent of gentility, like gentleness, as the base for what we're exploring, like coming back into that is, it opens up a lot of possibilities too. It opens up more connections and more opportunities, like on so many levels, like just in your human life, like work or friends, or and also for your spiritual life. So for our own galactic relationships that we have that you know, we might not always be connecting with them because we're doing human stuff, but deep in our hearts, we know that we know our soul families, we know all of these parts of ourselves, and holding space for all of that comes through from that, like, I know we've been using the word gentle, but it's also it's the peace, it's inner peace, and it's a sense of acceptance that allows for all these other things to happen. And for me, like, that's part of what I experience as what I call gentle, is allowing openness, receptivity, but also, like what Alexandra shared, like how I was saying, it felt fierce in some level, like it's held, like it's not leaky or you know, like falling apart and damaged, like there's something whole about it as well, and that creates a strength, even though it's gentle. Yeah, that's good.
So beautiful. I was the first time when we discussed initially, you know, how to that maybe we can get together, it just concept of the gentle mind, like, even though it took a while for us to be able to actually connect, to have this call, but it's been kind of just sitting in my heart, you know, all this time. And it just feels so nourishing, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful energy, I think, that we managed to kind of call in and kind of create.
Thank you for bringing your connection. I feel that today.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, then, thank you, everybody who's watching this, who tuned in, right? Later on is going to tune in. Thank you for reaching out with this idea of, you know, connecting, maybe sharing something together. And for the lovely conversation we had and sharing.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch this again later.
Me too, me too.
And receive more from it.
And maybe at some point, maybe there's some other topic that comes through that we feel to do together. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Cool. Well, all the best. Sending so much love.
Yeah.